kind of like a cocoon, isn't it? Good morning. It is Thursday, the 12th, thank you, of November. Gentle Yoga. And we're all here and ready at the studio. If you're at home, please feel free to grab what you need. I don't plan to use a strap today, but grab blankets if you need or anything else that's going to help you be able to be more comfortable. You can sit up in a chair. I'm going to start sitting on the floor today. I often start in a chair for gentle, but you can be in a chair or on the floor, sitting however is comfortable for your hips. So take your time. You stretch your legs out if you need to. Let yourself just shift around a little bit to get easy as you lengthen up through the top of your head. Let your eyes close gently and just be now with your breaths, accepting your breaths in and out. If you can feel the breath coming into your belly and letting the breath easily rise up from the belly through the ribs up to your chest. And on your next exhale, come on forward. Now, it doesn't matter how far you come in a seated forward bend. You can stay up higher. You can bring your hands in front of you if you are on the floor, giving yourself support. Or you can walk farther out. It's up to you. Releasing your head if it feels good to let your head hang. Release your neck a little bit there, and your jaw. And then let's come up enough. We're going to walk over towards our left. So if you're in your chair, you might just kind of shift your way just a little bit with your shoulders that way. If you're on the floor, you can walk yourself out over that thigh. Now, some of you might have a block there on the floor and might feel like it would be good to put your head down on the block. If that's true, you can. And then you can stretch, if you want, that inside, that right arm longer. Come to your fingertips. Let yourself find a little more through the side there. And you know if it's too low to put your head down, don't do it. And then we're going to make our way back through center. So walking on back around to the other side. And again, if it feels good, it doesn't matter what height the block is, to lower your head down to a block, you can. And then if you can reach your left arm, that inside arm, a little bit longer, be on your fingertips, find a little more through your side waist, and open up between the ribs there on the left side. And then we'll come up. We're going to go back into center again. One breath here again at center. And then we'll walk ourselves on back up, letting our fingertips come out onto the floor or just releasing your arms out beside you if you're in your chair. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down like wings. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, let's twist to our left. Let your right hand come around either towards the midline or towards your left knee. Waking up the spine here now. Lengthening up. Feel your chin about parallel to the floor. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come on back around. We're going to go all the way around into the other direction. Feel that left sit bone drawing down. Engage the low belly a little bit here. One more inhale. And on your exhale, come on back around into center again. And we're going to switch. If we were cross-legged, switch to bring our other leg in front so that we even out a little bit here. And now from here, bring your hands behind you and clasp your hands together back there. Feel that openness across your chest. And then really let yourself, as you come a little bit forward and a little bit back, just feel almost like you're leading with your chest a little bit. So you keep your back nice and long, exhaling your way forward and inhaling your way back up. And it doesn't matter how far. You may be moving a couple of inches. You may feel like that you want to move a little bit farther forward over the legs. And then the next time that you do come forward, let yourself stay. If possible, you can bring your arms off your back. Now, if you're laying all the way over your legs, you might be able to bring them quite a bit up away from the body, away from your back. And if you're up high, it's a little bit more difficult. So just let your shoulders be where they can. And then we'll release and come on back up to the top, lengthening upward through the top of your head. And let's release our arms on down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. As you exhale, bend your elbows and think about holding on to your elbows if you can, or you can always hold like wrists or hands. If your shoulders won't let you do that, coming to your elbows, just be mindful. Feel where you can be. One more breath. And then we'll release, letting our arms come down. Let your wrists start to move as you circle your hands around a little bit here. And try to isolate. Try to keep your arms still. Let your hands do the work here. And reverse and go the other way. And then shake your hands out a little bit. Even get real floppy with your arms a bit. We're going to come on around towards our hands and knees. So if you know a blanket sounds like a good idea, grab yourself a blanket. Get it underneath your knees if you need to. If you want to be up off the floor, use your hands on the seat of your chair. Remember, you're more than welcome to come to fists for your hands if that feels better for your wrists. And now just take your time. Get your knees right underneath or your feet right underneath your hips. And let your head just turn a little bit side to side, just very easily. You may even want to bring the chin in towards your shoulder. Let yourself just release through your neck. And then let the head hang for a minute. Look back behind yourself. And then on your next inhale, bring your gaze back between your hands. Spread your fingers nice and wide if you have your hands down on the floor of the chair. Nice inhale. And on the exhale, we'll draw up into cat pose. Feel the tailbone dropping down. Stay here for a second. Press into either the tops of your feet or if you're standing up, the bottoms of your feet. And then as you inhale, send the tailbone back and up and move back through into your cow or your neutral spine, if that's better for you. And then just start to move at your own speed, at your own timing here. So letting yourself easily feel that flowing motion through the spine. Imagine the tailbone initiating each time. It's the first thing that moves, and then you just move on up through the spine. We'll finish the one we're on, and we'll come back to more neutral spine here. And let's come on into stepping our left foot forward, our right foot back to find lunge. So, you are more than welcome to have your hands on any surface you like for your lunge. You can use blocks any height. You can use your chair. You can let your hands be on the floor if you prefer. Take your time. Get your stance here where you know you're really good to be for this lunge. Draw your shoulders down. Feel that length down the back of your body. Press the feet gently away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. And we're going to switch and go to the other leg. So no matter how you want to do that, just bring that right foot forward. Press the feet away from each other. If you need to look back at your left foot, make sure that heel is directly behind your foot too. Engage the belly a little bit here as you press the feet gently away from each other and elongate through the spine here. And we're going to switch again. To really get established in your lunge here, we're going to add a little twist, keeping the right hand grounded. We're going to bring the left hand to the left hip, roll the left shoulder up. If you can put your palm down on your sacrum, right there on that flat place at the base of your spine there, rolling the shoulder up, do. And then we'll bring that hand on back down, and we're going to switch and come to the other side again. Right leg forward, left leg back, establishing your stance. And then bringing your right hand on up to your right hip, rolling that shoulder up. If you're able to send the palm down towards the sacrum there. If your shoulder doesn't like to do that, don't do it. Just keep your hand on your hip. Good. And then we'll come on back down with our hand. And let's step forward and come into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. If you like to use support, use those blocks if you'd like. Bend your knees. Let your elbows rest above your knees if you'd like a little more support for your low back. Or bring your hands to wherever is comfortable, right? Down towards the ground or hands to your elbows. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. Make sure you're not locking your knees. And then really think about letting go through your face. Letting go through your jaw. Following your breath in and out. And then we'll release our hands all the way up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees, press into our feet, and rise on up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Coming into mountain pose here now. If you need to shift around a little bit or switch how you have your feet just a bit so that you feel more comfortable, there's no right or wrong, right? Feet can be together in mountain pose. You can let your feet be hips distance apart. For some of us, it feels a little bit better to have a little wider or a little less width between our feet. So just be mindful to where you feel so easy to be centered between your feet. Once you get your hips over your ankles, shoulders over your hips, gaze is forward, eyes opened or closed. Now once you're there, see if you can just barely let your body sway a little tiny bit from side to side. Just a tiny little bit. So little that you can hardly see it really. And then see if you can end up back at center, equally distributed between your feet. And now do the same thing front to back, but really, really tiny. So you got to concentrate to do that. Barely shifting to the front and to the back. Finding what muscles do when you do that, how your body adjusts. And then come on back into center. Drawing up out of those rooted feet, thighs gently lifting upward, tailbone dropping down. And then we'll release to let our arms unfold down beside us. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend your knees as you come forward into that standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you flatten out your back into that nice long back. Doesn't matter where your hands are. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Now, you know you can use the blocks under your hands. You can use a chair. You can use the floor. All up to you and your shoulders. Elbows hug towards each other. See if you can walk a little bit, bending one knee at a time. And on the next inhale, come on out towards a plank. As far as you want to go in towards that plank. So imagine now really zipping up your low belly, but not curling your tailbone up under you. Reaching your tailbone back towards between your heels. At the same time, zipping up your belly. And you can bend your elbows if you like. Do little push-ups. And then we'll come on back into down dog. So reaching back. And you know you can switch how high you have your hands as it feels good for you to do that. And then we'll bring our right foot forward to find lunge. You can put your left knee down to get there if you need to. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. Feet hips distance apart. If that's comfortable for you, find what feels good. And now see if you can lift all your toes up and take your time. Feel that sense of the four corners of the feet reaching into the floor. The base of your big toe mound, the base of your little toe mound. Your inner and outer heel, but your arches are lifting up. Sometimes I like to cross my wrists and slip my fingers underneath the arches of my feet and kind of press up a little bit and imagine reaching down into those four corners. And then let your toes softly come on back down to the floor. We're going to bring our hands back up to our hips and bend our knees, press into our feet, rise on up. Inhaling the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bring our hands down together in front of the heart. Now inhale your hands up through the midline. And once they get up there, bend your elbows and bring your hands behind your head. Clasp your hands and let them come right to the back of your head here. Press the back of your head gently into your hands, but don't let the hands go backwards right now. So your chin's parallel to the floor. There's length in the back of your throat. Once you press into your hands, feel your legs want to engage a little deeper. And then you can let your head go back a little bit now. Rise the chin up just a little bit. You're still being supported by your hands. Try not to tense up. Try to let it feel like this just gradual opening of the front of the body. One more inhale. And then on the exhale, come back upright again, top of the head reaching upward, and then unfold your arms on down beside you. Bring your hands behind you, clasp your hands, inhaling here, and on the exhale, bend your knees and come forward. Get about parallel to the floor if you can. So you're reaching back, right back through your tailbone, out through the top of your head. You're trying to be about parallel to the floor with a nice long back. Knees can bend. Now release your hands from here. Bring your hands to your heart into prayer hands. And we're going to twist a little bit, right elbow towards our left knee. Now you can rest your elbow on your knee if you want. Let yourself come into twist there. Come on back into center. And we're going to go the other way. So left elbow comes across. It doesn't have to be all the way to the right knee, but it can. And then we'll come on back into center again. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to fold back into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that flat back again. Hands on the shins or the blocks or the chair. And this time, left foot steps back to come into lunge. So finding that lunge here now. Press those feet away from each other. Draw your shoulders down. Inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So again, if your hands are on the floor, you'll be more like an upside down V with your heels hovering off the mat. And that might change when your hands come up to the blocks, and certainly when the hands are on the seat of the chair. Let your next inhale bring you out to your plank. Nice and strong again. If you like to bend those elbows, do some little push-ups you can, or you can stay in that plank. Really feel that zip up of the belly reaching down of the sitting bones. And then we'll come on back into down dog. And this time we will bring the left foot forward to come into lunge. And you can put your right knee down if you need to get there. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Easy breaths here. Full and deep. Feel the weight of your head. If nodding or shaking your head a little bit feels really good, trying to let yourself let go there. Release your face. Let your forehead feel like it's just being smoothed out. And then we'll let our hands come back up to our hips, bend our knees, rise on up, and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms and inhale our right arm all the way out and up overhead. And then from there, let your left hand slide down the outside of your left leg a little bit. So coming into side stretch, breathing into that side. One more breath. Really press into that right foot a little more. And now rise up, and we're going to make a big circle with this arm. We're going to reach back behind ourselves and bring it all the way down, and then bring it all the way back up forward again. And one more time all the way back down behind you and releasing down. And now we'll inhale the left arm all the way out and up. Right hand touches the outside of your right leg. Slide it down. Let yourself feel that left foot in the floor. Keep connected there with that right hand to the outside of your leg. Breathe into that side you're stretching. Good. And then slowly come on back up. We're going to reach behind ourselves with that arm. Let it come on down. Bring it forward and up again. Let it continue that circle all the way back and around behind you. We're going to clasp our hands behind us here. See if you can take a 3-part breath, inhaling into your belly, then your ribs, all the way up into your chest. And as you exhale, bend your knees and come forward. Now, how far you go with this, up to you. Stay parallel to the floor if you want. Go all the way forward over your legs. Release your arms if you want off of your back. One more breath. And then we'll release our arms on down. Let your inhale lengthen out your spine. And we're going to come into down dog here. So you place your hands the surface you like. The blocks, the chair, the floor. Reach your way back into your down dog. Spread your fingers wide. And on the next inhale, come on out to a plank. Now, back bends are optional here. If you're on the floor, you can come down and end up on your forearms in a sphinx pose if you'd rather. Or you can come down and come into a cobra or even into an up dog. And then we'll make our way back again into that downward facing dog pose. Walk if you need to. Wag your tail around if it feels good. We're going to do that same thing. We're going to come out to plank. Back bend optional. You can stay in the plank. You can move through, right through to an up dog if you want, or move through and down to a cobra or a sphinx. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. And from here, let's bring our right foot forward for a lunge, however you can get it there. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Releasing to your breath, full deep breaths. Use whatever support you need. If you want to put your hands on your elbows, do. And then we're going to let our knees soften, press into our feet equally, and rise straight on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Spread your fingers here now. Feel just actually almost separate your hands, but don't quite do that. Let them come just almost to where they're not touching at all anymore, so that's the lightest touch you can imagine. But you still feel the energy coming from your hands. Let your shoulders soften down, your elbows melt down. Go ahead and let the hands come a little more together here now. Feel your feet in the floor. Enjoy your mountain pose. Nice. We're going to unfold our arms on down beside us. Shake out a little bit. Move around if you need to. Walk if you need. We're going to come into some warriors. So if you have a chair, You might want to turn the back of the chair around to face you. And have your blocks handy at the front of your mat because we're going to step our right foot back. And we're going to come into Warrior Two here. So we're lining our heels up, getting that right foot. That angle of that right foot is really up to you. It can be about parallel to the back edge. You can send your heel back a little further in that angle if your knee, your hip allow. And then take your time, bend that left knee. Now, you want the stance to where you feel like you can stay there pretty strongly and evenly. Because we're going to reach our arms out and bring our right arm under our left, give ourselves a hug, and maybe even proceed on into an eagle wrap, sending the backs of your hands towards each other. Now, you don't have to do that. You can stay giving a hug and be happy, right? Let your shoulders release where you can be. Feel your tailbone reaching down. Make sure you're not tucking it forward. It's reaching down towards the ground. Maybe even a little kind of feeling back behind you. And then release the arms on down. We're going to inhale them all the way up and out, straight out from our shoulders, reaching back through the right fingertips, forward through the left. Feel the feet in the floor pressing gently away from each other. Turn that left palm up. We're going to inhale, reach up towards the sky. Let your right hand slide down your back leg a little bit. Inhaling into the left ribs. And on the exhale, we'll come into side angle. So it can be a high one. It can be your left hand to your thigh here. Rising the right arm up into line. If you want to go down onto your forearm, you can. You can use your hand on the chair, so that you don't you have a little more support instead of going to your leg. One more breath. We're going to come on back to Warrior Two, pressing those feet away from each other. And now we're going to straighten our left knee out, and we're going to bring our left hand down for triangle. So again, you can use this chair in front of you. You can use your leg. You can put your hand down on a block. Right arm can come straight up from your shoulder. Feel the thighs lifting upward. Enjoy finding that sense of making space in your knees as you elongate out through your spine. One more breath. And we're going to bend that front knee and come on back into Warrior Two, pressing the feet away from each other as we come. And we'll bring our hands down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel, and we're going to come on forward into a wide-legged forward bend. Grab your blocks. If you like your blocks under your hands, you can have them out there in front of you. Adjust your stance if you need to, and then start to bend a knee at a time if your knees allow you to do that. So that you're just gradually coming a little deeper into your inner thighs. Feels good. And then come on back into center. Now you can have your knees bent or straight, and you can have your hands on a block or the floor. We're going to add a little twist. So you're right centered with your body and lengthened out. And left hand is going to stay down. Right hand's going to come to your right hip. And you're going to roll that right shoulder up. Now, same as we did before, putting your hand right there on your sacrum if you can. Making sure it's pretty flat right back there. You can stretch the right arm up if you choose to, if your shoulders let you. And then come on down. Bring that right hand down. Left hand's going to come up to your hip, then to your low back. You can roll that shoulder up and stay right there. Twist in the middle of the back. You really want that flatness there. If you want to stretch your arm up, you can. That left arm's up to you. And then we'll come on down. Good. From here, let's move our block or walk our hands to the right. And it doesn't matter how far. You can go all the way over towards your foot, or you can let yourself shift over to in front of your foot. And then we'll come on back through center, and we're going to go the other way. Again, not important how far you go. And then we'll come on back into center again. And take your time. If you need that long back, you can put your elbows above your knees and maybe let your head hang there, at least to let yourself release a little more in your neck. Or some of you are fine to bring your hands back more towards between your feet. Or maybe you like to hold your ankles. Come where you can watch your breaths now. Easily in and out. Finding those little spaces between your breaths. Good. One more breath. And we're going to take our time as we start to come on back up from this. If you need to bring your feet together first, use your hands on your thighs. If you're dizzy at all when you get up, take care. Be mindful. Move around a little bit, however you need to. We are going to do the other side. So get yourself set up for coming into your warrior two on the other side. Left foot is going to step back. Heels are in line. Left foot again can have that little angle. It can be more parallel to the back edge of your mat. You want to be mindful of how it feels. In your knees, your hips, bend that front knee. Good. Bring the arms up and bring that left arm under your right. So as you hug yourself, you may want to stay right there. Imagine breathing into the space between the shoulder blades on your back, whether you stay hugging or you head into an eagle wrap with your arms. Feel the breath, expanding that space. And then we'll release to bring the arms down. And again, inhaling those arms up and out from the shoulders, reaching out through both sets of fingertips. Feel the feet pressing gently away from each other on the mat. Good. We're going to turn that right palm up and inhale, reach up towards the sky. Your left hand can give you a little support back there. It can even slide down a little more. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come into that side angle. So again, it can be your hand or your forearm that comes to your thigh or your chair. You can add that left arm up into line if you'd like. Remember, that's totally optional. If your shoulder bothers you, you can keep your hand down. Just enjoy now drawing that outer right hip back, finding that length through both sides of the body. We're going to come on back into warrior two from here, pressing the feet gently away from each other. And we'll straighten the right leg out here. Go ahead, put your left hand on your hip and bring your right hand down for a triangle. Now, you may want to use your thigh. You may want to use the chair or a block. Go down your leg farther. Start to feel again the thighs lifting upwards, creating space in your knees, adding the top arm straight up if you choose. Some of you may even want to turn to look up towards your hand up there, that left hand up there. If it bothers your neck, don't do it. You can keep your head looking forward or even look down. Make sure you're not rolling on that right foot there. One more breath. And then we're going to bend the right knee. We're going to press our way up into warrior two again, pressing the feet away from each other as we come. Nice. We're going to bring our arms down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel. And we're going to make our way forward again for that wide-legged forward bend, using blocks if you want. Now, at first, when you get here, see if you can walk either your hands on the floor or the blocks out farther, like you're doing a down dog with your feet wide. Let the hands separate a little wider than you normally do in dog, and then let your heart melt down towards the ground. So really releasing there between the shoulder blades. It's almost like you're really reaching your heart downward a little more. One more breath. And then walk the hands on back. And take your time here. If you need to adjust in any way, do. If you prefer to change from what you were doing on the other side in this pose, if you'd like to move your hands to a different place, do. You might want to hold your ankles. You might want to walk your hands behind you. You might want to even clasp your hands up on your back or release the arms off the back. But find a place where you can be so fully into your breath, you're not distracted by any discomfort in the body, right? So you can really let yourself fully be on your breaths, in and out. Good. One more full deep breath. And now to come up, you know to take your time. You adjust how you need to. If you need to make your feet come a little closer first, do. And then bring your feet on together. Move through your feet and your ankles a little bit. If you need to work to the tops of the toes a little bit, do. And we're going to come to the other side again, stepping left foot forward into a lunge, though. So if you're using your chair, turn the seat of it to face you. And otherwise, get your blocks any height. You're coming forward so that you can get your feet underneath you here at the front of your mat. And then, excuse me, we're going to step our right foot back, excuse me, and find a lunge. So find your lunge here very easily. See if you can now. Think about keeping your right hand grounded. Reach your left arm forward. Bring it up by your ear. So you have this really long line here. Really long line down the left side and the right side of the body, really. And then bring that hand down. And we're going to come into pyramid. Straightening that front knee out. Lowering the right heel down to the mat. Turning it inward a little bit. Now, this is up to you. You may need to change the length of your stance. You might want it shorter or longer. See if you can at first elongate out over that front leg. So you're allowing yourself to really feel the torso elongating over the front leg. And now it is up to you whether bowing forward makes any sense to you at all. So if it feels good, you can let yourself bow over that front leg. If not, don't do it. Keep the length of the spine. Thighs engaging upward. Really deep into the backs of your legs. Zip up your low belly. Feel that back foot fully on the floor. Good. Then we'll come on back up. We're going to bend the front knee, step forward, get our feet right underneath us again, and have your hands on either the highest height of the blocks or the chair seat here. Feet a little closer together, and we're going to bend both our knees and lift our right foot up. So knees are side by side right now. And now when we inhale, we're going to reach back into a warrior three. So the toes are facing down towards the floor. And now exhale, bend both knees and get them side by side again. And we're going to do that a couple of times. Inhale, stretch that right leg back. Look straight down. And then release to bring the knees in as you exhale. And again, inhale, reaching long. Really using that supporting leg there. And then exhale, bringing the knees side by side. This time we're going to go to stay for a little bit. Warrior three. Reach those toes directly down towards the floor. If you want to release your left arm forward, you can. You can bring both hands off the blocks if you want. So come to where you can be. Let yourself enjoy coming into that strength of the supporting leg. One more breath. And then we'll come on back down with that foot. Release into standing forward bend for a couple of breaths. You probably feel quite different in your hips right now. So from here, let's step our right foot forward and our left foot back and find lunge. So getting into your lunge here now. Feel the feet in the floor. Zip up your belly. Now again, if you can, you don't have to do this part. Bring your right arm off the block, hand off the block. Reach forward. And then bring the arm up in line with your ear. Your pinky finger faces down and your thumb faces up. And you just feel this great length through the body here, elongating the spine. Head in line with your spine if you can. Good. We're going to bring the hand on back down. And we're going to straighten that front knee out. So in other words, for most of us, that's kind of necessary to shorten the stance a little bit from that lunge, to bring that back foot in and heel in a little bit and down. So zip up your belly. Feel like you're still reaching back through your tailbone. And then again, this folding forward over this front leg. Really totally up to you if there's even a chance that's going to happen and you know how your body feels. So enjoy breathing. Nice, easy, full breaths. So go to your breath. Let your breath be the most important thing you focus on right now. Good. And then we'll come up enough to bend that front leg. Step forward with that left foot. Get your feet again right underneath you. Maybe a little closer than you do in mountain pose. Bend both your knees. Lift your left foot up off the floor. And then we'll extend it back into warrior three. Take a breath here to point the toes down. Legs parallel to the floor. Inhale. When you exhale, bend both knees. Bring them side by side again. And then inhale again, back into that long warrior three leg back there. And then exhale, bend the knees, bring them side by side again. We'll do it again. Inhale, reaching back. If your leg's screaming at you, I totally understand. So if you need to stop, do one more time. This last time when we inhale into that warrior three. Take your time. Get your left hand to a place that feels good for you maybe to bring that right arm forward. It's up to you whether you even think about lifting a hand or both hands up, right? Really enjoy the strength here of the supporting leg. One more breath. And then we'll bring the foot on down and hand down and separate your feet towards the outside edges of your mat. Shift your weight back to elbows above your knees. And you can say right there, if your knees and your hips allow you to squat down, you might want to turn your heels inward a little bit. You might not. That's up to you. You can squat down if it feels good and come all the way down. Be mindful. Don't force anything. Really be mindful of your knees, your hips. Good. And then we're going to slowly make our way on back up. So take your time. Come on up to standing. And then start to kind of walk around a little bit around your mat. Move through your feet, your ankles. Yeah, take your time. And then we don't really need our chairs anymore. We are going to come right down onto our bellies on the floor. So you can leave your mats right where they are today. Unless, if you feel better pulling to a wall, that's fine too. Those of you who are here in the studio, if you're like, I can't do this unless I'm at a wall, I just don't feel right, then we all have our habits, don't we? So come on to your forearms. Once you're on your belly, get your elbows under your shoulders for a little Sphinx pose. See if it feels like a relief after the warrior threes, right? So just bring your gaze. You remember if it's too much, you can go down lower, slide your elbows more towards your waist. You can bring the elbows farther in front of you so you're not so high too, right? That all depends on how it feels in your shoulders. But look between your hands for a second. Let yourself turn your head a little side to side too. So you're just barely, easily turning your head side to side. And then come on back, looking back right forward of your hands, maybe towards the front of your mat a little bit. Enjoy. One more breath. And then let's come down with our left forearm parallel to the front edge of the mat. Put your forehead on your forearm. And then lift your right leg up a little bit. So you're pointing the foot. It's like somebody's pulling the foot away from you. They're lengthening it out. And then bring that right leg back down. Bend the right knee and flex the right foot. See if you can maybe bring your forehead up off of your arm a little bit. That might be enough right there for a half bow. If you want to reach your right hand back and get hold of the top of the foot, you can, or the ankle. And then you can even pull the heel in towards your buttocks a little bit more if you want a little more in that quad if you've got the foot. And then, if you have your foot, start to push it into your hand like you're trying to straighten the leg out. And if you want more of a back bend, slide your forearm down more towards your waist and let yourself come up higher in the body. And that is totally optional. Be where you can. One more breath. And then we're going to release and come back down. We're going to switch to put your right forearm parallel. Lay your head down for a second. And then from here, see about lengthening through that left leg, lifting it up, all the way up to your hip pointer bone, really. You're lifting that leg up off the floor. Good. And then lower it back down.
And then bend that left knee. Flex the foot. See if you can release the head a little bit up off your arm without too much discomfort, right? If it's too much, put your head down. If you want to reach back and get your foot, at first pull it in, kind of towards the outside of the buttocks a little bit. If you can, that'll give your quad a nice release. And then you can press the foot into the hand, sliding if you want, the arm down more towards your waist if you want to come up higher. And this is all optional. You know that. Staying down, just finding the quad where you are is plenty. And then we're going to release everything down. Bring your arms down alongside your body. Turn your palms down towards the ground. And then from here, as you inhale, let your head and your legs float up a little bit into a little locust pose. See if you can let it feel like a relief after what we just did. And then come down. Let yourself breathe into your low back. And then we'll do it again. This time, inhale anything you can up off the floor, reaching fingertips and toes back towards the wall behind you. And then as you exhale, release back down. Now you can do that locust pose one more time, or you can bend your knees, reach back, get a hold of the top of the feet if you want for a bow pose. That's up to you. So when you inhale, you rise up, whether you're in the locust or you're in the bow, pressing the feet into the hands if you're in the bow pose, opening up across the chest. And then we're going to release down, and we're going to shift back towards pose of a child. Take your time. Get your big toes to come towards each other, knees to separate as much as you choose. And then get comfortable in your child's pose. If it sounds better to put a block underneath your head, you know, it keeps you up higher. Sometimes it brings a release to a different place as well. Maybe you feel better to turn your head one way so that it feels different in your neck. Maybe you feel better to bring your arms down alongside your legs with your palms just upward. So it might take a little experimenting to find where you feel best today. So take your time and just breathe into the low back. Allow yourself to enjoy that expansion of the low back as you inhale. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to come forward again, more onto our forearms. Now, you may decide you just want to come onto your forearms, clasp your hands, send your pinky finger out, press down into your forearms, and be happy right there, letting your heart melt a little bit. So you're not rounding up into that upper back, but instead you're finding that release downward, right? If you want to lift up from here into a dolphin, you can walk yourself up. Now, if you'd rather do a forearm plank, you can come into a forearm plank too, where you just find that core strength of being in a forearm plank or half plank. You can have your knees bent in dolphin pose, right? Elbows are hugged towards each other. Let yourself really enjoy finding what you can there. Letting the armpits hollow out. Feel the weight of your head if you're in your dolphin. And then we're going to release to come on back down. And let yourself, once you're down, see if you can shift back to child's pose and take a couple of breaths there. And then we'll bring our hands back by our knees. We're going to come up on around to sitting with our legs out in front of us. So if you know sitting would be better off for you to be up on a blanket, by all means, have that blanket. sit up on the blanket where your hips feel good. And think about, as your legs are stretched out, think about kind of shifting from one side to the other and let your hands encourage your inner thighs to go downward. Which what that does is keeps you from sitting like this with your toes open, your knees open, right? Instead, it encourages that line up, knees and toes facing up, inner thighs reaching down, sit bones are right there. And you can lengthen up in your staff pose, bringing your hands beside you, turning your palms down and kind of pressing down gently into the palms of the hands if they reach the ground. And just lengthen upward here. So it's like the shape of a capital letter L. It's harder on those of us who have tight hamstrings, tight low back. If you need to bend your knees and support bent knees, do. Good. And then from here, we're going to come forward into a seated forward bend. Just classic seated forward bend. Imagine coming forward from your low back. It might be an inch or two. Sometimes, again, that bending of the knees helps to get yourself forward from your low back. And those of you who are a forward bend feels like a huge relief, you can reach for your feet if you want. You can let yourself, at the end, go ahead and fold over. As long as you start forward from your low back, right? So that you get that sense of being able to come up and over the legs. And then just release and breathe. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to come on up. And let's let our left leg be a little more to the midline of our body. Instead of out in front of your hip here, come in a little more midline. And bring your right foot across to the outside of that leg. Now, you might be below your knee. You might be above your knee. That depends on you. But you can use your hands here to help you elongate up. Just sit here for a second before you twist. Really let the body adjust. Feel what's happening in the outside of this right leg, all the way up into the buttocks there. Sitting nice and tall. One more inhale. And on the exhale, bring your right arm behind you as you come over into twist. Now you can use your left hand on that right knee. You can hook your elbow around that right knee if it's there close. Or some of you will be able to bring your arm all the way across to the outside of that leg. You know, still, you don't want to lean back into your back hand. You want to be letting yourself be held up by your spine. The twist coming from the middle of the back. Feel the sitting bones drawing down towards the ground and that left heel. Good. One more breath. And then use your belly as you bring yourself back around into center. Take your time to come on back. Stretch that right leg out. Shake it out a little bit, everything. And then again, the right heel or the leg comes a little more to the midline. The left foot comes over. So again, high or low, doesn't matter. But take time here as you sit up. Lengthen up. Feel that sense of length up through the top of your head. And as you take a nice inhale, find more space in your spine. And as you exhale, bring your left hand behind you, coming on around. And again, right hand can stay on your knee. You can, if you're close enough, hook the elbow around to bring your thigh in more towards your ribs. Or you can bring your arm across, depending on where you are with your leg, really. And again, try not to lean into that back hand. Feel the sit bones drawing down towards the ground. Feel the heel of that right foot drawing down. One more
there. Nice breath here. Inhaling into the length of your spine. And sometimes on the exhale, you can go a little deeper in your twist. And then when you're ready to come back around, use your belly to draw you on back around into center. Stretch your legs on out in front of you. Circle a little bit with your feet. Do little windshield wiper blades, flip-floppy. And then bring your hands behind you. Now, this is up to you. You may not want to lift up into a reverse plank. You may want to just let your hands come behind you, either fingers turned forward, fingertips towards the front of you, or some people it feels better to turn their hands out to about 45 degrees. Now, you don't even have to lift up. You can just draw your chest forward and enjoy feeling this openness across the chest. Or you can press into those hands, lift your hips up, come on into a reverse plank, whether you look up or forward. Totally up to you. And then we'll release and let ourselves come down. Separate your feet a little bit, not really wide. Even if you usually can go real wide, don't. And bring your hands then to your shins and slide your hands down towards your ankles, maybe to your toes. That depends on you. Let yourself release there. Let it feel like a big release, though, right? Good. Knees and toes facing up. And then we're going to come on back up. Bring our legs on in, shake them out a little bit. We're going to lie down on our backs on our mat. So have a block or two handy before you go down, just in case you want one. You may not, but you might. So come on down. Bring your knees in. Let yourself release the knees a little bit side to side. Oh, actually, everybody has blocks? We're going to try this. If you don't like it, you can stop, okay? But let the feet then come on down to the floor. And get yourself a block and lift up to lie on your block, lowest height, in like a supported bridge. So it's down low, right? You're not going to let your bottom hang off and let your ribs hyperextend up, right? You really want your rib cage to be in line. You want to be supported there where you really feel like it feels good. And then let your right knee come in towards your chest. Now, you can hold behind your thigh. You can hold your shin below your knee. And then let the left leg extend long. Now, this comes into the front of the left hip right here. So flex the foot. Let the toes face upward. If it's too much for you, don't do it. If it doesn't feel good in the front of that left hip, don't do it. Just give that time to adjust there. Good. And then go ahead and bring the left foot back to the floor. We're going to put the right foot down too, and we're just going to switch to bring the left knee in. Again, how you hold it there is up to you. Extend the right leg down long slowly so that when you get to where just the heels on the floor, the toes are facing up. You can feel that openness in the front of your right hip. Good. And then go ahead and bring that right foot back in. Actually bring both knees up and in towards you a little bit. Not all the way into your chest, just so you're okay on that block. And then separate your knees. Bring the soles of your feet towards each other. And if you want, you can put your hands on your shins. You can reach down for your ankles if you want. You don't have to have the feet all the way together like in Baddha Konasana. Just let yourself release here however you can. Feel your inner thighs release. Reach your tailbone down a little bit so you feel that little bit more there in your inner thighs. And then bring your knees together. Bring your feet on down to the floor. Now from here you can decide. You can lift up off this block into a bridge. Get your feet set.
press into your feet and rise on up into your bridge pose. You can get rid of the block if you want. You can add another block. If you want to go really high, you can come up to 2 blocks and let yourself rest there. Or you can get rid of the block and just work on your own in your bridge pose. Whether your arms are bent or arms are lengthened down or hands are clasped underneath you. Take your time, and if you prefer to be in that supported bridge and resting, do it. So if that supported bridge pose sounds like a better idea than working in your bridge, by all means, be where you can. Take your time. And you can even, if you're on the block, you can even extend both legs long and see how that feels for that opening in the front of your hips. We did it one leg at a time. Sometimes both legs is too much for some people. So play however you want, in other words. Now, when you do feel like you are ready to come down, just be real mindful, especially if you were up on that block. Come down easily. Let yourself release down to the floor with your hips. And then let's cross our right thigh over our left and then draw our knees in towards our chest. Now, here you can either hold your knees or you can hold your shins. You can even let your hands go further down towards your ankles or your feet, towards that cow face feeling here on your back if you want, or you can just let yourself release just by having the thigh over the thigh. And then we'll come on down from that. We're going to switch, cross the other leg on top. And then again, as you draw the knees in, it's up to you. You can hold the knees. You can kind of slide down towards your feet, your ankles if you want, if that feels like more of a release for you, do. You can cross less, do more like a figure 4 if that's better too. And then we're going to come on down, uncross our legs, separate your feet really wide to the outside edges of your mat, and bring your arms overhead like a wide V, like you're reaching towards the corners of your mat up there. And then just take your time to let your knees come from one side to the other. So now this is optional, whether you just go barely a little bit side to side with those knees or let them drop down towards the ground. And if you want a little more, if you bring your knees to the right and pick your right foot up and put it on the outside of your left leg above your knee, you can get a little more that way. That is totally optional. So if you do go to the left with your knees, it's the left foot that picks up and comes to the outside above the right knee, which gives you a little more in that right side. But that's an optional move in those twists. If you're like, I am not doing that, then go into your own twist that feels good for your body or anything else. If there's anything at all right now, a happy baby or another kind of a hip opener or a back bend, you need to do a plow pose, if you need to do anything at all, take your time right now to do it. Because when we do get ready and get coming into our Shavasana, we want to be really comfortable. We want to be able to feel like we got all our wiggles out, in other words. So just take your time. I will start to move around, and I know some of you bolsters feel really good, so don't get up. I don't know why that happened. So I'll start to head around here at the studio. If you're at home and you know you like support, remember if you have a bolster at home for under your knees or a rolled up blanket or a kind of a firm pillow, might have to move it. I will be coming around. Yes, yes. So remember, sometimes you lie there and you think, oh, well, this feels pretty good, except after a few breaths, you're like, oh, well, maybe not. So let me know. I can bring lots of different support for under your head, too, if you don't have a blanket and you feel like you want a little bit of a blanket underneath your head. And just get yourself, you're welcome. That good? But just get yourself where you can feel really easy to be lying there on the ground. Your arms, your legs have an easy time, wherever you're having them lie, easy time to feel very relaxed. All the way up into your shoulders, your hips. If you're feeling a little tense up in your face and your neck feels a little tense, you can let your head roll a little side to side and let go through your face, all around your eyes, all around your mouth. And just be with your own breath. Accepting your breaths in and out. Letting that wave of the breath help the body and the mind to find those quieter places. And just allow yourself now to benefit however you need, simply by letting yourself completely and fully relax.
gradually now allow yourself to come back to feeling the firmness of the ground underneath you, supporting you again. And allowing the breath to get deeper and fuller. Just letting the breath come back into allowing you to want to move again as you breathe deeper. Let your fingers, your toes, when you're ready, start to wiggle and move so that you can gradually move up through your extremities and up through your arms and legs, and let the body do what it needs. Stretch or bend. Staying on your back there if that's better for you, rolling to either your right or your left side. If you're better off to come to one side and maybe even use your arm as a pillow. You can release there for a few more breaths. Just give yourself time to adjust, time to come back to being physical again. And when you do feel okay to rise to sitting, let it feel easy to do so that you feel soft still, relaxed as you come up to sitting, and let your eyes close if you can and sit however is comfortable. Letting your shoulders feel nice and wide and open and softening down away from your ears. Let yourself feel the breath again now. Imagine you're breathing equally in and out through both sides of your nose. And on your next exhale, letting your hands come gently to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Happy Thursday.